empty hand, dopey morning, dog grumbling us. Little wonder then, little wonder, you little wonder you.
Being 50, I want to see what you can do as a rock artist at 50. And everybody else can do what they want to do, but I know what I want to do, and I've got the chance of doing it. It's extraordinarily exciting for me because I honestly don't know what's going to happen, because I really feel that if I had to lay back on what I've done before, I'd much prefer to stop, and I really would maybe just prefer to sculpt and paint and that sort of thing. But while I'm still wildly excited about what I do as a musician, then that's the course that I choose to take. I'm really not quite sure why we eventually settled on Earthling. I mean, it was supposed to describe the man in his pure habitat on Earth, and I suppose, I mean, the irony isn't lost on me that it's sort of me in maybe my most worldly kind of guise and human guise, although naturally enough, I really like this album because it's the most recent one. Since the early 90s, I was really impressed by what was happening in London with this new music at that time called Jungle. And I touched on it on the Outside album on a couple of tracks. I'm Deranged and We Prick You, both sort of paid homage to that nature of music. And I wanted to kind of create a hybrid with jungle and rock. I'd already started using a lot of drum and bass and industrial tech sounds on the live show. And it gradually evolved during the course of the whole of this year, and by the time we were doing the festivals in Europe, we were really, I think, really enjoying ourselves. It was, everything was just feeling so great, and the bands that we were working with were just terrific, and we were very excited about how the bands had evolved in 1 year. It had gotten so good. We were down to just a 5-piece. That's Mike Garson on keyboards, Reeves Gabrels on guitar, Zachary Orford on drums, and Gaylan Dorsey on bass guitar, and myself. And it felt a very tight unit, and we wanted to take the high energy that we kind of created on tour and take it into the studio. So we virtually had 2-3 days between finishing the tour and going into the studio. So we really went in kind of top side out. We hit the ground at 100 miles an hour. And during the course of the recording, to keep that energy up, we went out on the weekends and did small clubs. So it just kept the whole energy level very, very high, which I really feel that we've sort of captured that on the album. Where am I starting? Doesn't matter, does it? What speed are we shooting at? 24? 24. The video of this song, Little Wonder, I devised it with my most marvelous new video director, Floria Sigismund. And so what I suggested to her is that we work with a really great visual artist, Tony Ausler. He's sort of best known, I think, for his works where he creates puppets, little puppets that are found around the gallery in corners and under mattresses and things, and projects eerie little faces onto them that talk. They're really very, very strange. And he's just got a show at the Pompidou Museum in Paris. I'm a huge fan of his work. I think he's really terrific. So I asked Tony if he would work on this, and he constructed a lot of ideas and gave us a lot of input. I always worked in all mediums, so I'm such a great fan of how we interpret our culture. If we do it through art or if we do it through music, I'm a great fan of how other people do it. And I love creating characters and narrative and creating scenarios. So I'm drawn in so many directions at once that it's a hell of a job trying to keep it all balanced in my own mind.
Oh, no, that's really nice.
This is probably one of our favourite songs from the next album, Earthlings. It's the first time we played it, so bear with us. I'm reading this one. This one is called 7 Years in Tibet. I praise to you. Nothing ever goes away. I praise to you. Nothing ever goes.
A very influential book for me was called 7 Years in Tibet by a German called Heinrich Harrer, who was one of the very first Westerners to ever spend any time in Tibet. In fact, one of the first Westerners actually to go into Tibet and discover for himself this extraordinary existence and this incredibly sublime philosophy. And that book kind of stayed with me over the years. So I wanted to relate what had been happening politically with Tibet through that book, and the subtext of the song is really some of the desperation and agony felt by young Tibetans who have had their families killed and themselves have been reduced to mere ciphers in their own country.
Do you want that first original synth piano that you did put up a bit?
I hadn't intended recording right now, but the live work, well, as I said before, was so exciting that we just wanted to do something. We wrote the album in something like 9.5 days. I mean, it was done incredibly quickly. But that was sort of, within itself, was kind of the point of the exercise, was to work really quickly and write really fast and just see what happened, really, more than anything else. But I can't foresee me stopping working, no. I love it. I really like what I do as a living. It's fab.